Welcome to our brand new complete guide to speaking question number 2. Now for those who don't know, there's actually a new version of the test. So as of August 1st, 2019, the TOEFL test has changed. They've updated the speaking section, and so we updated our guide to speaking question number 2. We're going to do a lot together, so let me just go through it really quickly. So we're going to walk through one question, one example of a question number 2. I'm going to share with you a note-taking strategy to help you read and listen well. I'm going to share with you a speaking template so you know exactly what you have to say on test day. I'm going to give an example response so you can learn from my own speaking. And I'm also going to give you a checklist so you can actually grade your own speaking at home, give you 4 exclusive tricks and tips, and then finally I'm going to give you a free and complete test, and you can download that in the description for this video as well. So, my name is Josh McPherson. I'm the head instructor of TST Prep, an online TOEFL school where our mission is simple: to help you get the TOEFL score you need as quickly and easily as possible. And right now, let's get right into it. TOEFL speaking question number 2. So, for those of you who don't know, as of August 1st, 2019, the test changed. And basically for the speaking section, they have cut the number of questions. There used to be 6 questions and now there are 4. The change is pretty much that they cut question 1 and cut question 5. So this question number 2 is pretty much exactly the same like question number 3 from the old test. But don't worry, I'm going to explain more even if you don't know about the old test. All right, so basically this is how it works, is that it is a campus announcement. There's some change on campus. And then after you read a short passage, I'm going to give you an example so you can see it. 2 students will have a conversation about the change, and you'll listen to this passage after you read. And then, so you'll have 50 seconds to read. The passage will be about 90 seconds when you listen to it, and you'll have 30 seconds to prepare and 60 seconds to speak. We're going to talk all about this, so don't worry if you're a little confused. No problem at all. So, basically, the thing that I want you to remember here is that your goal is to sound natural and conversational, and this goal is always the same in the speaking for the TOEFL. You want to make sure that you sound like you're having a conversation with a friend. You don't want to sound like you're answering a test question. Okay, you want to sound very natural. So keep that in mind as I give you this advice and talk about question number 2. All right, so for this question, it's very important that you think like a reporter. A reporter. A reporter's job is to report the news. And that's what you're doing for speaking question number 2. You're going to report the news. And let me talk about that a little bit more. So this is what you're going to do, is that you're going to read a passage, and I'll give you an example in 1 minute. The passage is going to have a new rule or a change. You're going to have to find reasons for that change. Then the reading passage goes away and it's time to listen. And you listen to a conversation between 2 students, just like an interview that a reporter does. Basically, a reporter reports some news. Let's say, for example, that there's a hurricane coming. And then they ask people, what do you think about the hurricane? And they give their opinion. And that's what you do. You report on their opinions and supporting reasons. So you are a reporter. You don't give your opinion. You don't say anything about yourself. You basically just report what you heard. Okay? That's why you think like a reporter. Here's an example. So again, your job is to find a couple things in this, but before I show you what to do for this question, I just want to give you an example. So a lot of times the reading passage is pretty short. It's about 100 words. You have 50 seconds to read. And it's about some change on campus. Sometimes you'll get a passage that is a letter. That happens about 20% of the time, I'd say. So what's the difference? Basically, if it's a letter, you'll see at the end sincerely in a name. And the letter is a recommendation. The student wants the school to change something. The other examples, it's an announcement. There is a change. In this example, a letter, there's a recommendation for a change. So just so you know, those are two types of passages, but they're pretty much exactly the same. Okay? So then you're asked a question, and the question is always pretty similar, that the woman or man expresses their opinion about the change, state their opinion and what they think about the change. And you're going to just report on what they feel. All right, so we're going to walk through an example together. First of all, let me show you my notes here. So this is a example of how I take notes for the reading passage. I'm looking for the change and 2 reasons for the change. You only have 50 seconds to read, so if you don't get to hear everything, that's okay. But that's your goal, at least. That's what you want to try to find. So when I read this passage here, I highlighted in yellow the change that they've decided to conduct 2 separate graduation ceremonies, and then a couple reasons for the change is that enrollment numbers have increased, so because it's increased, one ceremony will last too long, and also there's not enough space because enrollment has increased. Now that's a lot of information to write down, so you're going to have to pack a lot of information in just a few words when you write down notes, and that's what I did. So you see that there's 2 graduation ceremonies is the change, there's too many students, so I put an arrow up for a lot of students, and it equals a long ceremony. Now you might not be able to read this, but I can read it, I understand it, and that's your goal for your notes. You want to understand your notes. Don't worry if I understand your notes, you understand your notes, most important. And then there's not enough space for family and friends. So those are my notes, pretty simple and short. And there's only about, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, yeah, only about 9 or 10 words here. So pretty short. Focus on nouns and verbs when you write down your notes. Try to make them short and as clear as possible for you. Your notes are like triggers for your memory, so you don't have to make them too complicated. And then you listen to a passage. And this is how your notes should look when you listen to a passage. It's a man and woman having a conversation. I make a little T chart. M stands for man, W stands for woman, and they're going to have an opinion about the change. So what's the opinion and the 2 reasons for the opinion? Just so you know, only one person is going to have an opinion and 2 reasons. Basically, you want to focus on one person. One person's going to do most of the talking for speaking question number 2. All right? So here's a transcript of this, and again, you could download the complete test so you can actually practice this on your own. But so I highlighted what the woman thinks, that's her feeling, that she certainly doesn't like the change, that there's 2 different graduation ceremonies, and then she goes on to say why. That 2 ceremonies, there's a lot of speeches, that right now that the speeches take 2 hours, they can cut the ceremony down if they give less speeches, and they could also give the ceremony outside instead of keeping it inside the auditorium. So those are the reasons why she feels that way, so I make sure that I write that down, and that's what I write down in my notes. I put a little symbol that she doesn't like the change, limit the number of speeches, right now it's 2 hours, and the outside space has good weather in June. If you can write down a lot of notes, that's great. This is really short, actually. There's not a lot of notes. The more notes you write, the easier it will be for you to speak. And also for the TOEFL, they want you to speak about the listening. So if you can say a lot about the listening, that's great. All right. So, but these are just an example, so you can see it. All right, so now, preparing your response. So what are you going to do? You're going to report the change, just like a reporter. Okay, so you're going to report the change. Graduation ceremony has changed, right? The person's opinion of the change. How does the woman feel? She doesn't like it, right? The reasons for her opinion. She doesn't like it and she thinks it's a bad idea because they can cut down the number of speeches and also because they can have the ceremony outside. And that's why the woman feels blah, blah, blah. That's the conclusion. All right, and let's look at an example. This is actually a template that you can read on your own. I'm not going to go through each detail of this here, but this is a basic template that you can use, and we'll look at it in use right now. So I'll show you how it looks here. And I'll read a couple of lines from here so you can get an idea of how you should sound. You start with the reading passage. The reading passage announces a change on campus. In particular, so it's always a change on campus, right? You might want to change this if it's a letter. You would change this to something like, the reading passage is a letter that recommends a change on campus. Okay, so slightly different if it's a letter. In particular, the administration has decided to split the graduation ceremony into two separate events. Now I transition to the listening. So talk about the reading very little, and now I talk about the listening. The woman in the conversation is against this idea. To start, she says that, and then I say what she says. Okay, and I explain as much as I can, give a lot of details here. And then I move on to my the second reason the woman feels this way. Secondly, she explains that the graduation event should be held outside rather than in the auditorium if the committee is concerned about space. Blah, 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 blah. And I'll keep going with that. As you can see, the woman in the listening clearly disagrees with this plan, and you could pretty much say that anytime it's an announcement. You could also say for the letter, as you can see, the woman in the listening clearly disagrees with the letter's idea. Pretty simple. I know it's a lot of information at once. I'm sorry if I'm going a little fast. There's just a lot of things to talk about, so I just want to make sure that I don't talk too long. I tend to talk too long, so I want to make it short and to the point. But definitely watch this video again if there's some things that you're confused about. No problem, all right? So now you have a tool for self-study. This is basically your grading criteria. This is ETS's grading criteria of the integrated speaking. They basically judge your delivery, which is you speak in a calm, cool, and natural manner, and that's speaking naturally and conversationally. They judge your language use, the kind of vocabulary and grammar that you use, and they judge your topic development. Does it sound like you have a beginning and a middle and an end when you speak? You can read this in more detail on your own, but that's there for you. And this is a checklist for you for the integrated speaking. I'll do it really quickly, just run through each one. Did you speak for 57 to 60 seconds? So you have to speak for 60 seconds for question number 2. Was your introduction 15 seconds or less? Keep it pretty short. Did you have enough time to include a short conclusion? A conclusion is not necessary, but it's nice to put if you have the time. Did I look at the clock to monitor my time at least twice? Time management is a big problem for a lot of students. Try to speak for about 57 to 60 seconds. And one way to do that is to make sure you look at the clock while you speak. Did you include at least 2 transitional words or phrases? When you say things like in the reading passage, according to the listening, so to sum up. Those are transitional words and phrases. Make sure that you use them. Did you speak at a smooth and even pace? Try not to say, okay, try not to do that. And, and then also, natural, no robot voice. Please don't speak like I am a robot and speak like a human. There's a lot of rules, a lot of things to think about for TOEFL, so a lot of students sound kind of robotic. Try to be smooth, be natural. And yet, did you include all the important information from the reading and listening? All right, so again, couple quick tips. Don't be a robot. You get the point. Don't worry about paraphrasing. So a lot of students feel like they have to say in different words what they heard in the reading, what they heard in the listening. Don't worry about that. You're going to naturally paraphrase when you speak. Don't worry about it at all. Just speak how you naturally do. Always record your responses when you practice. It'll help you judge your speaking. Use that checklist. Also our website, tstprep.com. We do speaking evaluations. You can always check us out there. All right, so here's my last little tip here is to put yourself in their shoes. In other words, you want to imagine you're the person in the listening. You're the person in the conversation who agrees or disagrees with the reading. And you want to sound like you agree or disagree. So for example, here, the woman disagrees with the idea that the graduation ceremony will be split, right? So if you say, the woman in the passage disagrees for 2 reasons. The first reason she disagrees is, the second reason she disagrees is, not good, not natural, not conversational. Sound like you disagree and you understand her feelings. The woman in the conversation is totally against this idea. First of all, she doesn't understand why they have to have so many speakers. I mean, they could reduce the amount of time by up to 2 hours if they had less speakers. So you see how I tap into that emotion? Do that when you speak. Put yourself in their shoes. All right, so practice, experiment, and think for yourself. Most of your learning is going to come from you not listening to me talk, but actually from you experimenting and trying to do this speaking stuff on your own. And if you need help, tstprep.com, we're there to help. And also make sure you download the complete test. It's free, it should be in the description or somewhere around here, and you could practice these speaking questions on your own. Thank you for staying to the end. There's a million things you could be doing right now. The internet's an amazing place, but you decided to watch this video, so be proud of yourself. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. TOEFL Speaking question number 3. All right, I'll see you guys then.